Hey guys, so you're learning Spanish with JCAB Tutoring? Let me tell you, it's not always easy. There are these little mistakes, you know? You think you're speaking so well and then bam, you realize you just said something totally crazy. In this video, we're going to talk about some common Spanish mistakes that even people who study really hard make. Get ready to laugh, learn, and maybe even cry a little. Don't worry, it's not that bad. Okay, first up, let's talk about gender. In Spanish, everything has a gender, even objects. Why is table feminine, la mesa, but glass is masculine, el vaso? It's confusing. Once I was trying to impress my Spanish-speaking friends at a coffee shop. I wanted to order the delicious coffee and I confidently said la café delicioso. Well, it turns out coffee is masculine, el café. The look on their faces, hilarious. I learned my lesson that day, so pay attention to those noun genders, guys. There are some rules you can follow. Nouns ending in O are usually masculine, and nouns ending in A are usually feminine. But there are some exceptions. An example is la mano, the hand. It finishes in O, but it's feminine. Okay, next up we have a classic mistake, the word-for-word translation. I remember once trying to tell my Spanish tutor that I wasn't feeling well, so I said, me siento debajo del clima, which means, I feel under the weather, in English. Well, she started laughing. Apparently that's not how you say it in Spanish. The correct way is, me siento mal. What I learned is that while direct translations can be helpful sometimes, it's important to remember that languages don't always work the same way. Don't be afraid to look up expressions or ask a native speaker for help. It can save you from embarrassing moments. Verb conjugation, the Spanish fiesta. You don't want to miss. Okay, let's talk about verbs. Spanish verbs are always changing, but here's the thing, if you don't know how to conjugate those verbs properly, you're going to sound really silly. One time I was trying to tell my friend about this awesome movie I saw. I meant to say, I saw a great movie yesterday. But I totally messed up the verb conjugation and ended up saying, yo veo una película fantástica ayer. Yeah, I basically told him I was seeing a fantastic movie yesterday, in the present tense. Verb conjugation is key in Spanish. You have to make sure those verbs agree with who is doing the action and when they are doing it. With a little practice and the help of JCAB Tutoring, you'll be conjugating like a pro in no time. False friends, those sneaky little word imposters. Ah, false friends, they sound so familiar, but don't let them fool you. These sneaky words look and sound similar to English words, but they have completely different meanings. I remember one time I wanted to say, I'm embarrassed, feeling pretty good about my Spanish, so I said, estoy embarazada. Turns out, embarazada doesn't mean embarrassed, so basically I just said, I was pregnant. You gotta watch out for those false friends. They're everywhere, just waiting to trick you. My advice? Be careful. Don't assume that just because a word looks or sounds like an English word, it actually means the same thing. Preposition confusion, navigating the Spanish labyrinth. And last but not least, let's talk about prepositions. Those tiny little words like on, in, at, with, they seem so simple, right? Well, in Spanish, prepositions can be a real pain. They don't always translate directly from English, and using the wrong one can completely change what you're trying to say. One time I was trying to tell my friend I was going to meet him at the park, so I said, te veo en la parque. Sounds right, doesn't it? Well, turns out I should have not used the preposition a instead of en. Prepositions, man, they're tricky. My best advice is to just memorize them and practice using them in different situations. Keep practicing, and you'll get the hang of it. Hasta la vista, baby, you got this. So there you have it, folks. The most common Spanish mistakes brought to you by yours truly. Remember, even people who speak Spanish really well make mistakes sometimes. It's all part of the learning process. The key is to not be afraid to laugh at yourself, learn from your mistakes, and keep practicing. What are some of the funniest Spanish slip-ups you've made? Share your stories in the comments below. And hey, if you want more tips on how to master Spanish, be sure to check out my other videos by liking and subscribing to my page. Thanks for watching y los veo pronto.